Have you noticed people treating you differently since you've been in a wheelchair, or what makes you want to do that?
Well, yes and no. Some people look at you strangely, honestly, and others just pass you by. And you get some people that would come up to you and you know, sympathize with you, really. So I think there's still a certain level of education that still needs to be done in terms of that, in terms of looking at people with a physical challenge, which I always like, saying it like that. And I think that you do see people that go on and excel that has physical challenges, but I think society is still pretty ignorant as to what it means to be in a specific kind of position.
A lot of people would think someone who went through what you did might not be so optimistic in living with a country where the crime is rife and things like what happened to you happen to people every day. How can you stay so optimistic?
Like I said, I think our country has a lot of things to be positive about. You know, we don't always hear about this positive things, or we don't hear about the good stories. You always hear about the bad stories most of the time, because that's how things are. If I look at perhaps some person's life story, for example, and I look at where he comes from and things that is made through to get where he or she is, doesn't matter what position they have, and they are perhaps in a position of enacting change, for example, having a very personal and a very way of changing certain things in communities, then I draw strength from those kind of stories. People that have always have faced adversity throughout their lives and always come on top in whatever way or form that is. So it doesn't matter if it's South Africa, if it's another country, for example, third world country, first world country. I think we have a lot to be proud of, and it doesn't really matter what skin color you are, what financial status you have. I think that's a message that I'd really like to give to everyone from any different background.
Talk me through a day in your life now, in your rehab routine. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis?
Well, as everyone else, we do have a good breakfast. So you wake up at a certain time, and you go and have your basic cleansing, shower, and clean yourself, and make yourself presentable for the day. And then after that, you basically go and check as to how your day looks like. So there's a little chart that you check. What are you going to do for the day? And then I would then go to whatever specific destination I have to go to. So I'll see the physio perhaps for an hour or 2 hours, and then I have to go and perhaps see someone else on the same day, in the same morning, for example. And then I'll see my social work, and then we'll have a dialogue and we'll work certain things out. And then I'll go and see my OT, and then from there onwards I'll go to another class, for example, another session perhaps with my psychologist or whoever I'm booked up with for that specific time period. And my day basically, it's really well structured. Of course, I have to go and chow lunch at 12 o'clock. You can't be late for that.
What did you have for lunch today? Have you had lunch?
No,
we started at 12. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. I mean, my lunch is there. They won't deprive me from my lunch because I have to eat, really, and it's sustenance. And so, 12 o'clock, and then 1 o'clock, your day carries on from 1 till about 3. So I'll have maybe I'll have another session in the power gym, and I'll go and pick up a bit of weights, and I'll maybe just have a basketball game in between that. And so it's very well structured at the Western Cape Rehabilitation Centre. But also, I think if I want to go and speak to anyone else, anyone that's a part of the team or that works here, I could go and do that. If I just want to have a little conversation with them. It's not like I have a strict routine
Mm.
that says I have to do this and that. You know, they treat people really nice, and it doesn't really have to be on paper that you have to do this or have to do that. So yeah.
What's the most challenging part of your rehabilitation been so far?
So far, well, I'd say apart from a lot of the physical activities, I think more mentally, just really being able to, you know, create a pathway outside of this amazing facility, knowing what am I going to do, how am I going to do it. But I've also really been aided. You know, my social workers will help me create a little pathway to know what am I going to do and how am I going to do it. But even that in itself, you know, gave me a better perspective of what's going to happen, how's my life going to look like.